Big Chonk is an old cube in the game of Cube Defense, originating from the Halloween event of 2019. This cube was incredibly slow, had 12 million HP, and was the most massive cube in the game of Cube Defense. Now, with Revamp, things have changed significantly. Towers have lost a lot of their overall damage output, and because of this, we want to test here whether or not it is still possible to defeat Big Chonk in the current game of Cube Defense. Let's find out. Guys, if you are interested in finding more content similar to this, please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. It greatly helps me out and it helps you find more content similar to this. And also, if you enjoy the video, please consider a liking, but that is your choice and not mine, as I always remind. Now, on to the video. So, to test this, we have to make a few assumptions. We must assume that Big Chonk is spawning in a new game of Cube Defense with the current towers, current damages, all that stuff. We also must assume that Big Chonk, however, keeps his original statistics, his slow speed, his massive size, his high HP. He's keeping that. We also need to assume that towers function as they would in the current game of Cube Defense. This means that towers like the Frost Rail, Glue Gun, towers that slow down most cubes but cannot slow down boss cubes like the Rubik's Cube and Basic Cube boss. We're going to assume that they can also not target the Big Chonk cube. We also will assume that we have 5 players in-game defending against this cube, which means that if we have a player limit of a certain tower of 3, we can place up to 15 of that tower. We also want to make sure that Big Chonk is alone on the map. He is not with other cubes. He's not accompanied with other cubes here. And finally, we will assume that this game is in a lag-free scenario. We really cannot predict how lag will affect the game, so we really cannot avoid going around this here. So with 12 million HP, Big Chonk is incredibly hard to kill. Second highest, most highest HP cube, excluding the end cube. But as I said earlier, Big Chonk still has a very, very slow movement speed. So what I did is I collected a list of the highest damage towers in the game, and this list consists of these towers here. The Sun Temple with enhancement from the MK2 Sun Temple, Lord Zorvuzo, Poseidon's Tomb, Orbital Cannon, Orbital Satellite, Dutchman, Railgun, Rail Minigun, Star Zorvuzo, Santa Sleigh, and Stealth Bomber. With these 13 towers we will be using in the players' inventories, that leaves us exactly 4 free slots per player, excluding one single player which has 13 slots. Now, that will leave us space for campfires, economy, and defabs, making it much more reasonable for players to be able to defend. Using all these towers, I figured out how much damage each one would do if you had your max amount of them placed. Using this, I also determined the max amount of damage you could deal per second if all towers, excluding the Lord, were firing at once. All towers that you placed were firing at once, and this damage would be 26,176 damage per second. Now this is moderately accurate, as there will be towers most likely that will not be firing at certain times. So this is if all towers excluding the Lord were firing, as to my math, if my math is correct. Now the Lord charges up its damage over time, dealing at first 75 and maxing out at 325, but this takes 15 seconds to do so. So in that 15 seconds, it deals 35,870 damage. Combined with the overall damage of the other towers in that 15 seconds, a total of 443,000 damage, 511.5 damage. That is really good, actually, to see here. That's a pretty reasonable damage. It's good looking for defeating the Big Chonk cube. But that's just the first 15 seconds. Now we gotta go and also add the max damage from Lord Zorvuzo to the overall damage of all towers per second. That now will be 29,426.1 damage per second. That's pretty good. That is a lot of damage to be dealing per second, and that is, as I remind you, if all towers on the map were firing at once. This is averaged via the amount of damage each tower does per shot, the amount of time it takes to reload. So you may not deal exactly this amount of damage at this amount of seconds, but that is going to be the average amount of damage you will be dealing over time. So if all towers were firing on Big Chonk, we would actually find Big Chonk to be dead in exactly 6 minutes and 47.3 seconds. Now, again, I remind you, this is ignoring the fact that we will have a lag. We will also have towers that are not firing due to the Lord Zorvuzo's stunning ability. We will also have towers that may or may not fall in or out of range of Big Chonk. And we also know that Big Chonk will be moving faster than he did in Arc Battle because he is not going to be affected by Glue Gun. So he will be moving faster than we see at first. However, even the distance that he can make without Glue Gun is still relatively low. It's actually quite low, less than a fourth of most maps distances. That is in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. That is the distance here that he would have reached, that he reached in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. This is the exact place where Big Chonk died in our battle. Since we have to put into consideration the stunning ability of the Lord and the in and out of certain towers that become in range or out of range, we will add an extra 30 seconds to the amount of time it takes to kill Big Chonk. That leaves us with 7 minutes and 17.73 seconds. Now this seems like a lot of time. However, again, Big Chonk moves very, very slowly with or without Glue Gun effect. In 7 minutes and 17.73 seconds, it would be very, very easy to eliminate Big Chonk. It would be highly unlikely for Big Chonk to make it all the way through the map in underneath 10 minutes. If anything, it may take him a good 20 minutes to get across the whole entire map. He is so slow. In conclusion, we can quite reasonably infer that Big Chonk can be defeated if we have all towers, or at least most of our towers, firing at once at Big Chonk, with him moving at his normal speed, with his normal HP. We can infer quite easily that Big Chonk could be defeated if he was to spawn in a game of cube defense with our towers maxed out. Now, for those of you that are still doubtful, I have a little bit more proof here. As you see in this video that I recorded with Job YouTube 22, we used all the towers listed and replaced the Big Chonk cube with the basic cube boss, the highest HP cube excluding the end cube as of current. And unexpectedly, the basic cube boss died really quick, like really quick. It took very little time to be defeated. Now, it was a bit longer than I would have expected it to. However, do note that the basic cube boss drops off explosions that disable other towers, and the Flying Dutchmans were not actually in range at this time. They were unable to fire until the basic cube boss had reached the bridge on this map. So the basic cube boss died relatively quickly enough for it to be quite clear that we could kill the Big Chonk cube relatively easily in the game of cube defense if it was to spawn in a new game of cube. Now, the basic cube boss has about 1/16 of the total HP of Big Chonk. So if we could destroy 1/16 of Big Chonk's health in this amount of time, we could easily defeat Big Chonk in a current game of cube defense with our current towers and current damages. So guys, that is my conclusion, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is the first theory video that I've put out on this channel, and I may or may not be wrong. I would like to say that I'm right, of course, but you may have some important note to add, and if so, let me know, and who knows, I may have missed something very important. I hope you did enjoy this video with me, Jingle12, guys. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I would like to add, as a little note right at the end, I feel like I need to be being more of just a YouTuber now. Like, I don't know how to explain this. I want to try to stop just making content for you guys. I want to be more involved. I want to make a difference. I want to be an example, but I also want to make a difference in your life. If that makes any sense, my viewers' lives. I want to make a difference. So I really, really, really want to start focusing on that. So I just want to make you guys know that you are loved. You're loved, and I am happy to know that you guys are watching these videos, and I can't wait to be hanging out with you guys in game. I can't wait for this tournament. And guys, thank you everyone so much for watching. Thank you specifically you. I know I'm talking to you. I know you're sitting there at your desk, on your phone, on your iPad, listening with earbuds, out loud, on a headset. However you're listening, I know you're there. I want to say hello. I want to say have a good day, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye from Jingle 12 signing off. Goodbye, everybody.